Yeah, this is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with NTK Global. Back in the UK. Twice in 2 days I've seen you now, Frank.
Getting a habit.
Getting a habit.
Let's get much a habit.
Yeah, I mean, just had time to kind of let it all sink in and reflect on one of the best weekends for British boxing ever.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think it's an overestimation. It was for me, in my time of boxing, the best performance I've seen at an elite level of any British fighter.
Before we come on to Tyson, obviously we've heard some comments from Deontay Wilder yesterday. He gave an interview to Yahoo Sports regarding some of the reasons he gave for why he suffered the defeat on Saturday night. And the one that's got everyone talking is the £40 entrance costume, which were weighing heavy on his legs. Frank, can I get a kind of reaction to what you think about that?
Well, he's probably just dressing up an excuse, isn't he? That's what he's doing. Those fellas who go to war with them big packs on their back, you see them, the soldiers, and going like bullet shot at them and going up hills and that. Come on, it's, he's got to come up with something, and that's his excuse, honestly. Nothing to do with those pillowcases that Tyson had.
But I mean, it was in the quotes I read from Wilder, he was heavily weighted on that fact.
Well, didn't he? Well, he just put it on the first time that night. He didn't get it fitted and see what it felt like and everything. Well, I just sent it that fits you. He must have got measured up and everything for such an elaborate costume. But who cares at the end of the day? I mean, everyone's got an excuse when they lose, and winners never have excuses.
He also obviously made some comments regarding the assistant trainer Mark Breland, who was the one that threw the towel in, and JD as his trainer had said that there was obviously issues regarding that. In that Deontay Wilder would have rather have been knocked out or stopped, but what did you make of that situation,
well, look,
Frank?
Deontay's he's a very, he's obviously got, he's a very brave guy, and he's a fighter, and I'm sure he didn't want to be pulled out. But sometimes it's got to be taken. The decision has to be taken out of his hands, and I think what Mark Breland did was the correct thing to do. Better to live to fight another day rather than get your career knocked out of you. And I think we mentioned it before. That's what happened with Jeff Lacey against Joe Kawasaki. They should pull him out at least 4 rounds before the end of that fight. And he was never the same after fighting Joe Kawasaki. So, me, I think Mark's a former fighter himself, very experienced fighter, Olympian. I think it's the right thing to do. I would have done it.
Because what you don't really want is a brave trainer, do you, Frank, in that kind of situation?
Well, it is what it is. But I would have put if it's me, I would pull him. I would have pulled him out. Like I pulled Derek Chisora out against Tyson. He was in there for 2 rounds too long. In the end, I ran round and said, pull him out, because he had no chance of winning it. And all he was getting a belt in.
Well, when you ever get wins like this, and I think Tyson Fury and Team Fury kind of just pointed out on the night, we don't want to hear on Sunday that Wilder was suddenly a bum.
There's always an excuse, and he weren't a bum going in there. We never made the statistics up. It's his network that he works with, Fox and ESPN, came up between what all the stats were, didn't they? The hardest punching heavyweight in ever. Certainly, I've seen for 35 odd years, whatever it is in the sport. All those things, but at the end of the day, you got beat on the night by the better man, and we don't want excuses. There was no excuses Tyson didn't even complain about the draw, which he should have screamed the place down.
He did, you're right, actually.
He was quite philosophical about it, and that was it. So Deontay's, as I say, he's a proud and brave man, and if he want to get it on again, then obviously that we're committed contractually to do that.
Again, from this the interview he gave yesterday on Yahoo, he did indicate that he would be exercising that clause. So
that's his right. That's his right to do so.
And I've seen you made some comments regarding where potentially that could take place, and you've mentioned Old Trafford, Frank.
I would love to do that, but if it does, it'll probably take place in the States. I'd love to do it here, but I think it'll take place.
Is that in the contract that it takes place in the States? Yeah.
Yeah.
Shame we couldn't get that over here if it was
Well,
to
you
happen.
never know. You can try and we'll see what happens. We'll see. But that's, you know, you can only go back to contracts. It's like in a perfect and ideal world, we all know what we like to do, but it's what you're contractually bound to do, and that's what everybody entered into to get the fight on.
So, I mean, his comments regarding kind of suggesting that he will take the third fight kind of puts any talk of Joshua and Fury on hold for the second. Is that probably fair to say?
Well, I did say that. I did say that, and the fact that, you know, he's got to fight Pulev, and he's got to fight Usyk. You know, the only way these fights happen is to get everybody together, all concerned, into a room and try and work something out. That's the only way you can do it. All parties, all contracted parties, all people who've got contracts with fighters, broadcasters who have contracts with fighters, and everybody have to agree with it, not just somebody just spouting off, doing their usual, spouting off for the sake of it. You know, this is, you know, you deal with the reality of it.
Saw some comments from Bob Aaron saying that the fight would have to take place by July, I think the 18th, but said that it could be pushed towards kind of the autumn.
Well, you know, again, that's a possibility, but it's something that's got to be addressed. Because in an ideal world, we would love to get Tyson on with AJ, because that's the fight everybody wants to see. That's the big one. That's what it's all about, unifying the belts. That's what Tyson's quest has been from day one.
When it comes to it, Frank, how difficult do you think, or not difficult, is it to make that fight? I know you said all the parties have got to sit down, but
Few people have got to park up their egos and understand what it's about for the sport and for the fans, and for, you know, and the fighters, and the two guys who are getting in the ring, and satisfying everybody around them. But at the end of the day, as I say, it's not going to be done through somebody. It's a funny thing. I remember doing an interview with Gary Richardson on Radio 5 after a fight, and I was on the programme and Barry Hearn was on there. And Gary I made an offer. I said, all this 60-40 nonsense at the time, let's make the fight, let's do it. And it, you know, it got, as always, between me and him, it got, you know, backwards and forwards. And then he said, I'm not negotiating in public. Any negotiations we're doing privately. We don't do stuff in, this is dreadful. BBC, you should be ashamed of yourself for doing this. And here we are again. You know, and yet another situation where, you know, it changes how they want to do things. But the fact of the matter is, we can, you know, we're an open door to do anything. We do it. But you know, you look back, Tyson Fury took the fight with Wilder. He took it. He did what Anthony Joshua wouldn't do. And they said at the time there was no offers made, etc., etc., and all that boring old story. But the fact of the matter was, there was an offer made. And it was conceded by Barry Hearn at the end of the day. There was an offer made because he made a comment about it when they announced the first fight was a draw. He said, "Thank God we never took that offer." Freudian slip, and went to the States for the fight. So they had their opportunity. Now they're trying to jump up and make a noise and jumping on Tyson's coattails. They had their opportunity. Tyson stepped up to the plate, made the fight, and fought him again, and that's where we are. He's the number one man in the heavyweight division by a mile.
I know you've made some comments, obviously prior to the fighters and possibly after the fight regarding splits, etc., etc. But do you see this as now obviously a complete even playing field, or do you see?
It's an even playing field going into it. It was an even playing field from day one. I've got to be honest. If I was, you know, if he was going to be a real, you know, I mean, AJ needs Tyson more than Tyson needs him. To be honest, he should get the lion's share. Who went and conquered America? Tyson Fury. AJ didn't. Got badly exposed over there. And that's the facts of it. You know, whatever way you want to look at it. Who's the number one? Who's got the highest profile around the world as a winning fighter? Tyson Fury. Who's got a documentary going on ITV, best-selling sports book apparently of all time. 200,000 copies sold, #1 on the Amazon list and BBC's bestsellers. So not Sunday Times bestsellers. So this man he's a huge star, WWE star. He's all those things. He's built that audience. Why is he going to the States? Why is he fighting on ESPN? Do you know why he went on it? Because it's the biggest platform out there for any fighter to fight on. He got a massive audience. He was seen by a lot of people in America, and that translated to when he got into the ring, even the Americans were cheering for him against an American fighter. So Tyson Fury is the man. He is the man. He's got more personality than all of them put together. He's the man.
So what does Anthony Joshua offer in this then, Frank?
What does he offer? He's got the belts that Tyson never lost in the ring, gifted to him to fight Charles Martin. So that's what he's got, and it'd be great to unify him, and great for the British fans, because everyone. Look, this is my opinion. Sometimes I've got people who have different opinions that AJ will beat him. Don't put your house on it, but they have that opinion. This is my opinion. But the fight at the end of the day is a fight we'd all love to see. 4 belts on the line, never happened before. 2 Brits fighting for it. It's huge. It's a huge fight.
But I mean, in terms of Anthony Joshua, obviously he's commercial value and his sellout gates. That obviously has something to it as well, Frank.
Of course it does. That's what I just said. I mean, what I'm saying, I'm not denigrating. I've said it. It's a massive fight. Everybody would like to see it. Takes 2 to tango. There's no doubt about that. But he's still damaged goods.
But realistically,
he's not. Listen, he's not. It'd be interesting to see what the numbers are. If he was, see where he's fighting Poulin. Would he fill up Wembley with fighting Poulin? Now I've got no idea. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But the fact of the matter is, Tyson's the #1. He's the #1 guy. He's the guy that's fought the best. Fought the 2 heavyweights he's fought. Went into their own backyards. In Klitschko, 18 months before AJ fought him, and took Klitschko, who's the second longest reigning heavyweight champion of all time, took him to school, and 18 months later AJ fights him. That's a great fight to watch as a spectacle, up and down and that, but when you look at the performances, Tyson comes out about a mark on him, he's on the floor and having to get up, and it was 18 months after Tyson had done a job on him. And then he goes off to the States and gets robbed in the first fight, and absolutely showed what those pillar fists can do in the second fight.
Just obviously going back to that night, I mean, a lot of credit has to go to Sugar Hill and Andy Lee, because the tactics were absolutely bang on. Yeah.
But you knew it was. When people said to me, "Who'd you've done an interview? How'd you see it's going to end?" For me, it was always he was always going to stop him.
You did say that.
I fancied him massively to stop him because of styles and what can he bring? What can he bring? It's very easy to stop it. To say easy, I shouldn't say it's not that easy, but if your guy's relying on his big shots, which is what he relies on to win fights, because you look at most of his fights, that's what he's done. He's come from behind, being outboxed, and landed the big one. He nearly did it in the last round against Tyson in the first fight. But if you push him on his back foot and you keep him there behind that superb jab that he used, and using at the time, nice long shots, and pushing him back, he couldn't set himself. He caught Tyson with a couple of shots early on in the fight, but from then on, Tyson just broke him down. That's what he did. Broke him down and stopped him. And the referee helped him a couple of times in that fight. Wilder, that is.
Frank, any indication of the pay-per-view numbers for BT?
No, not yet. But I understand they're going to be quite good.
What more do you want for 25 quid, eh, Frank?
What more do you want? I mean, it was fabulous, wasn't it? Yeah. It was just a fabulous night. And we broken up a bit of ground as well with a simulcast between ITV and BT. So there you go, Sky, and all this nonsense that stops fights. You can easily work together, make it work for the fans. That's what it's all about. Make it work for the fans.
Do you know how many people watch that on Saturday night on ITV?
I don't know what the race is. I've got to be honest. I'm only got in the office today. I'm not had a chance to look at it.
There's some very cleverly placed branding around there as well.
Well, you know, that's what
Cool, yeah.
you know, what we're in it for, is, you know, to
Yeah.
get a new audience and obviously to help that show. But you know, it's great that we can do that and be innovative and drive it. You know, it's all we try to do all the time is to keep moving forward and come up with things for the betterment of our sport, and more importantly, so that the fighters can go and earn more money.
We're only 3 days fresh from the fight, Frank, but when do you kind of ideally like to know kind of what the situation is regarding whether this will definitely...
I think it's going to have to, you know what, I'm sure, I think it's a given that he's going to invoke the rematch clause. I'm quite sure he'll do that. So we've got to just get working on it now and work very quickly between everybody to get it done and be sensible.
Would you rather that happen in the summer rather than obviously it being pushed back, you said? You'd rather that happen kind of around that summer period?
Tyson and
Wilder, if it's going to happen the third fight?
Get it out of the way.
Yeah, get it out of the way.
Get it out of the way, just do it. Yeah, get it away as soon as possible. Yeah, get rid of that.
It's interesting how 3 months ago that obviously, say America, PBC, Al Heyman had all the belts, and within 3 months a lot can change in boxing, as we all know.
They had a belt. You know, you go back even last summer. One fight was going to conquer America. As you say, Al Heyman was there with his guy, and along come the true man, you know, the lineal champion. What is a lineal champion? He's the guy who's still undefeated. That's who the lineal champion is. He's the guy that's just got another belt. He's the lineal champion. Because somebody said, "What's a lineal champion?" It's no such thing. It is. We all know who it is. And somebody borrowing the belts that he had to get, he vacated. Got to still fight the man. The man, he is the man. Tyson Fury.
We saw Tyson obviously arrive at Manchester Airport.
Yeah.
Had to be police escorted out.
Great.
Because it was a massive turnout for him in Manchester, which was always expected.
You know, it's brilliant what he's done. How he's turned his life away. He said he made a comment, and it was really. You know, I've thought about it afterwards. He talked about 2 years ago. He said, we went on our podcast that we did, and he said that I've been good for him, and he's been good for me, and that's a fact. It's really worked well for both of us. It's been fantastic, and I'm sort of privileged to have been part of it, helping him achieve his dream, and him obviously delivering in the ring. He's been. It's a revelation what he's done.
Well, once this has calmed down, obviously the show must go on.
Yeah.
As they say, Frank, and sticking with the heavyweight theme.
Yeah, not bad, is it?
Not long to go till the much anticipated fight between Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois.
Yeah.
Which is on April the 11th. So, yeah, all
It's
steam
going to be
ahead.
another fantastic night, isn't it? Everyone's got an opinion about that, which is great. I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be a great fight.
Any more indication of who else could feature on that card, Frank?
Anthony Yard will, I'm quite sure, feature on it. We've got a couple other fights that we've put together, so I'll meet with Tundi on Thursday. We'll just sort out opponents, and then we'll make an announcement next week with a full card.
Tommy Fury?
May be on there as well. So it's going to be a bit of a night.
Look forward to it. Any news regarding Josh Taylor's fight in May?
We're going to make an announcement tomorrow, but that will be on. We've got a date planned first week of May in Scotland, so we'll make a formal announcement tomorrow.
Seems like if it is what I'm expecting that 2nd of May, that's going to be very busy. There's a lot of boxing on that day.
I don't know what else is on. What else is on?
Well, that could be the day that Dylan White fights Povetkin. It could be the day that Canelo fights either Billy Joe or Callum Smith.
Well, Canelo, whoever he fights, that'll be
in the morning,
early hours in the morning. But ours is on. Our date's on.
Well, it's good.
Of course, it's what we want to do. We're in the business of putting the big shows on, so it's creating the big names.
Are you expected to announce any more shows, kind of for
Yeah, I think
Possibly April, May,
yeah,
that time?
yeah. Nothing else for. Oh, we've got a small one at the York Hall show in April, which we'll be announcing, and we obviously got to sort out. We've got a couple others to do, including Colframpton as well.
Helen was out in Vegas actually. We spoke to him, so he's waiting like the rest of us to.
Yeah, we're waiting for. We'll say we're just trying to get that over the line. So fingers crossed.
Like I said, it looks like a busy kind of spring summer period for you.
It is turned out nice again. That's good. We're really pleased with it. It's a great schedule that we've got lined up. Good quality fights and top quality fighters.
So Frank, obviously you're taking this week off now after the exploits of
No, I'm
last
in the
week.
office.
Yeah, I don't know, you might be having an easy day in the office.
How can you have an easy day in the office? The phone never stops. Are you sure? Easy day.
Have you actually watched the fight back, Frank?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
How many times?
Watched it a couple of times. I just wanted to. I like to see. Look and think. Could he have done any better? Anything else he could improve? It was a punch perfect performance.
I know you made some comments I saw on Boxing Social regarding Donald Trump. That he's obviously made an invitation to Tyson and also to Wilder to come to the White House. So is that going to be exercised?
Well, I'm sure it will be. I mean, I'm sure Tyson would love to go there, and why not? I want to see the UK do something for him. That's what we want to see. We want to see something. I mean, I know it's early in the year, but he's got to be nailed on for the Sports Personality of the Year. He's the only sportsman I think at the moment who's got any personality.
You'd say he's nailed on. We thought he was nailed on a few years ago. But...
Yeah, well, he still come. Was it third or fourth? All that controversy that's going on there, but you would think he's nailed on now.
There were. When I was in the dressing room actually on Saturday, there were some of Trump's guys that come to see Tyson beforehand.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
That's all good stuff.
I didn't. Obviously, I saw some sort of loose images, shall we say, of some people that you were sitting next to.
Loose? What's that mean, loose?
Or just loose images. So you can take that how you want. But you were pictured with the prince from Saudi Arabia. Is that correct?
I was sitting next to him. Yeah.
Okay. Any conversations going on there, Frank?
He was talking about the fight.
All right.
He's a real good boxing fan. He loves and knows his boxing. He knows what we're doing is talking about the fight.
Prince Khalid, that was involved in heavily involved, obviously, with the Joshua Ruiz fight.
Yeah, I mean, he's very serious people. Yeah, but he's a big boxing fan.
Just talking about the fight, you weren't talking about anything else about potentially doing anything. I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there.
Just talking about the fight we were watching.
Obviously, what else are you going to be talking about? We speak about what's in front of us, don't we?
Yeah.
All right, Frank, thank you very much. Have you got anything else you'd like to add at all?
No, I think that's it, mate. That's it.
I'd like to see you in the Saudi attire at some point, Frank.
Do you think it could be the opening scenes from Lawrence of Arabia, with me coming across that long scene from David McLean's film where he comes through the desert in the shimmering sun, and then suddenly I'll appear and I'll say, only me.
We'll look forward to it if and when that happens.
Yeah, no, if and when. There's lots of ifs and whens about lots of things, but we'll see.
Frank Warren, thank you very much, and
Thank you,
hopefully
mate.
we'll catch up with you soon.
Cheers.